All right, time to flip the script on how we think about money, because today we're diving deep into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah, Robert Kiyosaki.
This one's been a game changer for so many looking to, ditch that 9 to 5 and really build wealth. You actually sent this one in.
I did.
So I'm guessing you're ready to shake things up a bit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think Kiyosaki really challenges the traditional ideas about money. Like that whole go to college, get a safe job, buy a house.
Follow the path everyone says you're supposed to follow.
Exactly.
And instead, he's like, wait a minute. What if there's a completely different way to look at wealth?
Right.
And it all starts with the story of his own two dads.
Right.
His real father, the poor dad, was super educated, hardworking, but always struggling financially. Then there's his best friend's dad, the rich dad.
The opposite.
Yeah, dropped out of school, but had this amazing ability to build wealth.
It's a really clever way to set things up. Kiyosaki uses those two perspectives to make you question everything you thought you knew about money. And he doesn't waste any time getting started. He jumps right in with a story about his first business venture. He was only 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
Him and his friend Mike, they try to make nickels by melting lead.
Oh, no.
I know, right?
Oh.
Of course, it doesn't work. They get shut down pretty quickly. But his rich dad sees something valuable in their, initiative. That lesson about taking action, not being afraid to try and even fail.
Right. That entrepreneurial spirit.
Exactly. And I think it highlights this big idea in the book, financial literacy. It's about so much more than what we learn in school.
Totally.
Which brings us to one of the core principles of the book. The difference between assets and liability.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Huge. Kiyosaki puts it simply. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket.
Makes sense.
Right. But then he uses the example of a house.
Oh, here we go.
Most people consider their house an asset. But Kiyosaki argues, in many cases, it's a liability. Think about it. Mortgage payments, property taxes, all the upkeep. It can drain your cash flow.
That's true. You don't really think about it that way when you're caught up in, oh, gotta buy a house. It's a good investment.
Right. And it makes you question everything. Are we really building wealth if we're constantly pouring money into something?
I mean, it's simple, but it makes you stop and think.
It really does. And that's what Kiyosaki wants. He wants us to shift our focus. Start thinking about acquiring assets that generate income, not just things that cost us money.
Like businesses, stocks, rental properties, things like that.
Exactly. That's what the rich do. They build up that column of income-generating assets.
Well, everyone else is stuck in the, what does he call it? The rat race.
Yes, the rat race. I think that's such a relatable concept for so many people.
It's that feeling of working so hard, paying bills, but never really getting ahead.
And Kiyosaki's argument is that it's fear and greed that keep people trapped.
Makes sense.
Right. And that's fueled by a lack of financial education.
People are afraid of not having enough, so they keep working for money, but then they end up chasing after things that actually make them poorer.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki also challenges that idea of always working for a company.
Oh, yeah. He's big on minding your own business.
Yeah. And he doesn't necessarily mean starting a company, although that can be part of it. He's talking about focusing on building that asset column, creating income streams that work for you.
Yeah.
Even while you have a job.
I like that. So, like having multiple streams of income.
Yes. And he uses McDonald's as an example. He points out how they're not just in the burger business. They're also masters of real estate. They own so much of the land their restaurants are on.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Thinking outside the box. That's how you build real wealth. And then Kiyosaki dives into taxes and corporations. He really believes understanding those systems is key to building wealth.
It can feel so overwhelming, though, right? Like, where do you even begin?
He gets that.
Yeah.
But his point is, so many of us are playing this financial game without even knowing the rules.
Yeah.
And corporations, he calls them the biggest secret of the rich. They offer legal advantages that most people aren't even aware of. He's not talking about doing anything shady or illegal.
Right, right.
It's about being smart and using the system to your advantage.
So it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart, too.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that leads us to another interesting point. Kiyosaki encourages people to work to learn, not just to earn.
So what does he mean by that?
He actually suggests looking for jobs based on what skills you can develop, even if the pay isn't great at first.
Interesting.
He did that himself. He left promising careers to learn new things, and that knowledge ultimately helped him achieve greater success later on.
It's like investing in yourself.
Exactly. Building your knowledge and skills, that's what pays off in the long run. He even suggests working for free for someone you admire just for the learning opportunity.
You know, one thing that really stands out in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is how Kiyosaki connects financial success to personal development.
Oh, yeah. It's not just about the money.
Right. He talks about mental, physical, even emotional and spiritual well-being. All of these things contribute to your ability to build wealth.
It's holistic.
Exactly. And he argues that traditional schools often miss this, especially that emotional and spiritual side.
He even talks about his own experience going to a self-development workshop, right?
Yes. And how it was so impactful for him.
He realized that. He loved learning, but hated the traditional school system. It didn't work for him, for his entrepreneurial spirit.
Exactly.
And he actually compares himself to guys like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Steve Jobs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, all these innovators who, didn't exactly thrive in conventional education.
They had a different kind of fire. Exactly. And Kiyosaki's rich dad recognized that fire in him. While his poor dad was pushing for a safe, secure job, Rich Dad was all about acquiring assets that you truly love.
That's a big takeaway, isn't it? Finding those assets that you're actually passionate about.
Totally.
Because when you love something, you're going to take care of it, manage it better.
He has that quote, if you don't love it, you won't take care of it. It's so true. If you're not excited about something, you're probably not going to put in the effort.
Makes sense. And I think it challenges us to look at, okay, what am I passionate about? How can I turn that into something that actually makes money?
Yeah, exactly. Kiyosaki gives the example of his own love for real estate, owning buildings, land. He also loves stocks, but specifically of those smaller companies, startups. That entrepreneurial energy really appeals to him.
He thrives on that.
And he's open about his own journey, too. Early in his career, he worked for big corporations like Standard Oil, Xerox, but he realized that wasn't him. He wasn't a company man. He was driven by starting companies.
It's so important to have that self-awareness, right? To recognize your own strengths, your passions, because that's how you find that path that really aligns with you. It's not just chasing money, it's about finding that fulfillment.
He started his first company in 1977, selling nylon and Velcro wallets.
Oh, wow.
And he mentions that his rich dad actually encouraged him to go broke before 30.
Really?
Yeah, his rich dad said, you still have time to recover. Pretty bold advice.
That's definitely not what most people are told, but it shows that comfort with risk.
Yeah, and that belief in learning from experience, even if it means failing.
He doesn't see failure as a roadblock. It's more like a stepping stone.
He wants young people to seek work based on what they can learn, not just the paycheck. It's about asking yourself, what skills do I want down the road? What knowledge will help me build my financial future? So you're intentionally building that skill set, even if the starting pay isn't great.
Right, exactly. Like an investment in your future self.
Because it's so easy to get stuck in that lifelong process of bill paying, as he calls it.
Oh, I like that.
It's like you become a hamster running on a wheel, working hard but not getting ahead. Back to that rat race.
Right. And it's easy to fall into that, isn't it? We get comfortable with a certain lifestyle, and then, you're just working to maintain it.
Yeah. Kiyosaki wants us to get off that treadmill.
Yes.
Start creating a life where we're financially free.
Where money works for you.
And not the other way around.
Exactly. It makes you look at, okay, what are my actions leading to? Am I going towards that future that I want?
Or am I just spinning my wheels?
And the world is constantly changing.
Yeah, you have to be able to adapt
to new realities.
And that's where, this financial intelligence comes in. Kiyosaki even says, if you want to be luckier and create money instead of working hard, then your financial intelligence is important.
So it's not about luck.
It's about having the knowledge and the skills to actually make smart decisions. He talks about finding opportunities that everyone else misses, seeing with your mind what others miss with their eyes.
That's powerful.
And it's not just about being smart as an individual, but about organizing smart people around you, too.
Oh, interesting. Like building a team.
Yeah. Advisors.
Yeah.
Mentors. People who can help you make those informed decisions.
Leveraging that expertise. You don't have to be an expert in everything.
Exactly. Kiyosaki also talks a lot about choice. He believes every financial decision we make is shaping our future. Wealth, poverty, something in between. It's all a choice.
That's a powerful statement.
He even says most people choose not to be rich. And it's not about being lazy or anything like that. He thinks for a lot of people, wealth seems like too much of a hassle, too much change.
It's easier to stay in our comfort zones. even if that means giving up on some of our dreams.
Yeah, he's really challenging us to examine those beliefs we have, those choices we're making.
Are we really committed to achieving that financial freedom?
Are we willing to put in the work, make those sacrifices? He also talks about the importance of self-discipline. He says, if you cannot get control of yourself, do not try to get rich.
Self-control. That makes me think of the marshmallow test. Remember that? The kids who could delay gratification, they ended up more successful later in life.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And he talks about paying yourself first, right? That principle from the richest man in Babylon.
Putting saving and investing before everything else.
It's a total mindset shift, but it helps you break free from that paycheck to paycheck cycle. You're recognizing that you are your most important investment.
I like that.
And another interesting point, he talks about paying your brokers well.
That's counterintuitive. Most people try to save on those fees.
I know. But he believes good advice is invaluable. It might seem counterintuitive to spend money on financial advice, but finding a good broker, it's like tipping generously at a restaurant. He compares it to that.
It's funny, but it makes you think.
Yeah, we're often willing to spend money on immediate gratification, but when it comes to our long-term financial well-being,
We hesitate. We're more likely to cut corners.
it's about shifting priorities, investing in ourselves. That's just as important as any other expense.
Right. And finding a broker who really has your best interests at heart. Not just someone trying to sell you something,
Yeah.
but a true advisor.
Someone you trust who understands your goals. And then back to fear again. It's such a big theme in the book. He says, there is always risk, so learn to manage risk instead of avoiding it.
Makes sense. Because avoiding risk completely probably means you're also missing out on potential growth, right?
Yeah, it's like sitting on the sidelines while everyone else is playing the game, and you can't win if you're not playing. He also challenges us to think bigger. He says, small people remain small because they think small, act alone, or don't act at all.
Don't limit yourself.
He wants us to expand that vision, dream big. He reminds us that all those big companies on the stock exchange, they started small too, and success often comes after setbacks and failures.
It's encouraging, right? It's never too late to start building that financial future. Even the most successful people have faced challenges. So don't be afraid to take risks, to make mistakes, to learn from those experiences. It's all part of the journey. So what are some of the key takeaways for you so far?
Well, for me, it's really about shifting our mindset about money and wealth. Kiyosaki pushes us to challenge the traditional way of thinking and to think like an entrepreneur.
It's not about working for money. It's about making money work for you.
And he says, money is only an idea. It's about what you believe about money.
Yeah, your thoughts shape your reality, including your financial reality.
He even suggests reading Think and Grow Rich. Notice the title is not Work Hard and Grow Rich.
I like that.
He also stresses the importance of converting that earned income into passive income, portfolio income, as quickly as possible. That's what he learned from his rich dad. That's why he and his wife are financially free today.
Interesting. How does he do that?
He mentions owning a real estate investment company for that passive income. And then for portfolio income, it's about participating in private placements, IPOs, those initial public offerings of stock.
So it's about diversifying your income streams.
Yeah. And he actually created a board game called Cash O Flow to teach people these principles.
Oh, that's cool.
Have you played it?
I haven't, but I've heard good things.
It's supposed to be a fun way to learn about investing in cash flow.
It's practical.
But ultimately, I think Kiyosaki's message is one of empowerment.
He believes everyone can achieve financial freedom.
If they're willing to learn, take action, challenge the status quo.
He wants people to take control of their financial destinies.
He believes financial freedom is within reach for anyone who's willing to put in the effort. He provides real tips, stories, insights that can help along that journey.
It's not just vague advice.
Right. And to illustrate his point, he ends with this thought-provoking story about finding your own path and building wealth. It's about two contractors who are hired to bring water to a village.
Okay, I'm listening.
So one contractor, Ed, he immediately buys 2 buckets.
Makes sense.
And starts hauling water back and forth from the lake. He's working hard, making money, but he's limited. It's just him and his buckets. He's trading his time for money.
It's not very efficient.
The other contractor, Bill, he takes a different approach.
What does he do?
Spends time developing a business plan, forms a corporation, gets investors,
Wow.
and eventually builds a pipeline.
Smart.
Right. Bill's solution, it's more innovative, scalable, and way more profitable. He can deliver better water at a lower price, and he created a system that generates passive income.
That's a perfect example of the difference between working for money and having money work for you.
Exactly. It was focused on earning income through labor, while Bill was building a system that made him money, regardless of his direct involvement.
It's that entrepreneurial mindset that Kiyosaki keeps talking about.
Thinking beyond traditional ways of making money and finding those creative solutions that can lead to financial freedom. So, bringing this back to you, Kiyosaki talks a lot about converting earned income into passive income. What's one small step you could take today to start building your own passive income stream, even if you don't have a lot of money to invest? It really can be that simple. You don't have to overthink it.
Right. Just start somewhere.
Like what you said, freelance work online, renting out a room, even teaching a skill you have through an online course.
Those are great examples.
It's about taking that first step.
And then building from there.
Kiyosaki emphasizes that financial freedom is a journey, not a destination.
It's about consistently making smart choices.
Those little things add up over time. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad really lays out a good roadmap for that journey. There are so many light bulb moments in this book.
Things that make you completely rethink your relationship with money.
Totally. And one thing that stood out to me was his emphasis on finding mentors, learning from people who've already achieved what you want. Like his rich dad was for him.
Right. Someone to guide you, challenge you to think differently. And he actually encourages readers to find mentors in their own lives, too, through books, courses, relationships.
Surround yourself with inspiring people. People who push you to grow.
And who can offer insights based on their own experiences.
He even says, the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work.
It's about who you know. And of course, Kiyosaki also talks about taking action. Don't let fear hold you back.
Action always beats inaction, he says.
Love that.
It's not enough to just learn. You have to actually apply it.
You got to take those steps.
He tells the story of Colonel Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't find success with Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was in his 60s. Think about that.
Wow, that's inspiring.
He faced so many rejections, but he kept going, never gave up on his vision. It's never too late, right?
Oh, never too late.
And those failures along the way, they're part of the process.
He actually believes that failure is essential.
He says, failure inspires winners, and failure defeats losers.
It's about how you view those setbacks, what you learn from them.
So often we're taught to be afraid of failure, but Kiyosaki's like, embrace it. He even suggests going broke early in life once because you've got time to recover, and those lessons, priceless.
He's not afraid to make bold statements.
Sometimes you have to struggle. It can actually push you to grow.
Makes you confront those limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah.
Develop new skills.
He talks about how the rich often make their money during those market downturns, when everyone else is panicking.
They see opportunity where others see disaster.
And he says, often it's the most intelligent people who are afraid to make mistakes.
That fear can hold you back.
But you have to challenge it. Mistakes are going to happen.
They don't have to define you.
Learn from them. Move forward. It always comes back to that shift in mindset. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's not just a financial guide, it's personal transformation.
It really is.
It challenges your beliefs, pushes you out of that comfort zone, and ultimately you start taking control of your financial future. What I also took away from this is financial freedom, it's not just about having a lot of money.
It's about having choices, right?
Exactly. It's about having the time and the freedom to pursue what you're passionate about. Spend time with loved ones. Live a life that's meaningful. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. So as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with this. What's one small step, and it can be tiny, that you can take today to start moving towards that life you want? Maybe reading a financial blog, taking an online course about investing, or even just having a conversation with someone who inspires you financially.
Get the ball rolling.
Any step, no matter how small, can make a difference. Your financial future is waiting to be created, and hey, maybe one day you'll be sharing your own financial wisdom, inspiring others to achieve their dreams. That's it for this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful.